Reading is one of the best ways to learn a foreign language. You can go at your own pace, you can choose from a nearly endless supply of great materials, and you get to spend time actually understanding the language. However, you can't just jump in and start reading in German or Italian because it's slow, it's hard, and it can be so incredibly frustrating at the beginning. Which is why a good tool is so valuable. And that's why I'm making this video. I want to share with you my favorite reading tool that I've been using every single day for over 6 months, and I'm going to continue using every day for my Czech learning far into the future. Let's talk about Lute. You should try to use Lute if any of the following statements are true for you. You're new to reading in your language, you find it difficult to understand the grammar of the language, you're just curious about the tool, you want to use LingQ but think that it's too expensive, or if you just enjoy saving things and tweaking things to your own learning style. I'm going to show Lute off to you a little bit and hopefully grab your attention, and then we'll talk about how to set it up, how to use it, and why it's a useful tool.
Vlastně, když budeme pilně cvičit náš poslech, tak se rychle dostaneme do té vlastně naší studijní rutiny a o to snadnější pro nás bude prostě pokračovat i v budoucnosti.
So, this is Lute. Here I've imported a Czech podcast that I'm going to read and listen to. Here you see the text, and at the bottom you can see the audio. You'll also notice that all the words are colored in depending on about how well I know them. This is called the learning level. The words without color are words that I know totally well. They're easy. Red words are words that I've looked up, but I don't know them at all. They're totally new. Orange is just a step up from that. When I see them, they're vaguely familiar, but I still need to look them up. Yellowish orange is about the midpoint. I can sometimes tell what a word means and usually recognize it. Yellow words are getting there. I always recognize them and usually can figure out their meaning if they're in a clear context or just remember them. The green words are the words that I pretty much know. They're just a step away from being super easy. And the blue words are words that I haven't come across yet, which we'll talk about in a moment. As I'm reading, I can hover over a word and bring up the meaning, and if it has one, an image. This makes it super easy to read stories and not be interrupted by having to look something up. When I go back to the main screen here, I can see all my other texts and what percentage of the words that I know from them based on the various colors. This helps me know about how difficult the text will be before I even start reading it. I can also even look at a full list of all the words that I've ever saved. Before I get too far into the weeds, however, let's install Lute. It's a lot easier to understand if you can get your hands dirty and play with it yourself. Thankfully, Lute is really easy to install if you have Python and pip. I have a tutorial for how to install those down below, so go do that first and then come back here. Done? Great. Now, let's open a terminal or the command line. If you're on Windows, make sure it's as the administrator. And run the command pip install lute 3. If that doesn't work, try pip3 install lute 3. Everything will download and install for you, but it might take a moment. If you have troubles, join the Lute Discord and ask politely for help. Link in the description. Be sure to send them screenshots of whatever issues you're having so that they can more easily help you. Now, to launch Lute, you'll need to run the command python or python3-m lute.main. Once it's launched, it'll tell you to visit the website localhost:5000 to access Lute. The program is actually running a little website on your computer, but only you can access it. So open your favorite browser and go to that link. You need to keep the terminal open while you're using Lute, but there's an easy way around this. I have it set up so that every time I start my computer, Lute also starts in the background. That means I can go to localhost 5000 at any time and it's there. I'll leave a written tutorial in the description if you want to do this on your computer as well. Anyway, now you have Lute running. Awesome job. It starts preloaded with a bunch of test books, but you'll want to import your own. To read with Lute, you'll need to have some books or text files without DRM. So this means that a lot of Amazon ebooks aren't going to work. But you can use tons of different things to read. There are plenty of ways to find material. You can get stuff from blogs or websites, web novels online, you can download DRM-free books, or you can borrow things from a friend. There are so many options. Nowadays, you can even generate a story with ChatGPT, but I'm going to be using a transcript of a YouTube video which I generated using Whisper, tutorial below. Let's make sure that Lute is all set up for you to use with your language. Go to Settings and then Languages. Here we'll add the language you're learning. In order for Lute to work with the language, it needs to be told how the language works. There are a bunch of predefined languages you can choose from. Otherwise, you'll need to fill out these fields. If you don't know what this all means, it's best to join the Lute Discord server and ask the community. But I'm going to add Czech for now since that's the language I'm learning. We'll also need to choose an online dictionary. Find your favorite online dictionary and search a random word. Then copy that URL and paste it in here. Finally, replace that random word you searched with ###. This tells Lute how to look up words for you. I'm also going to turn off the pronunciation field since I don't use it ever. And there's another optional sentence translation thing that you can put in there, but I don't use that either. Awesome! Now let's go home and add a text. Hover over Books and create a new book. Make sure to select the proper language and give it a title. You can either paste in the text here, or what I do, import the field by clicking the Choose File here and finding your text. You can also choose how many words per page, but I always keep it at 250. If you find that the pages are too long or too short, you can tweak that for your own preferences. If you want, you can also add tags or even a source link for the text. And if you have audio to go along with that text, you can select that file too. Since I'm reading a podcast, I do actually have audio to go with it. Hit save, let it load, and bam! Your new book! All the words start out in blue, which means you've never come across or saved them before. Lute works a little bit differently than a traditional dictionary. You don't search words one at a time, you actually build up your own personal database or dictionary for the language you're learning. And this is incredibly valuable for a few reasons. One, you have to consider every single word in the sentence and understand why it's there. Two, you have a tangible example of your language progress as you build up a bigger and bigger database. Three, this process of saving words helps you remember them because you save them in the way that it works for you. And related, 4, working with a text in this way makes it a lot easier to remember words in general. And 5, once you've been doing it for a while, whenever you import a text, you can see about how difficult it's going to be. Now, to save a word, click it and wait a moment. In the bottom right, Lute will search up the word in your chosen dictionary. And in the top right, it'll open all the word's information. This is what Lute is all about, your own personal word web. While you read, you add words to your personal database and connect them together. You can give them definitions, add images, tags, parents, and mark the learning level. All of this combined makes Lute almost a second brain. I've saved over 20,000 different words into my Lute. This is what allows me to see how easy or hard a text will be at a glance and to do instantaneous lookups on words that I've saved before. It's really fantastic. The only annoyance, and I'm not even convinced that this is actually a problem, is that you have to save each member of a word family separately. The program doesn't know that happy, happiness, happier, unhappy are all different versions of the same word. The program isn't actually smart. It's just looking at the letter combinations and saving those. So you have to make the connections and say, these are all different versions of the word happy. This is annoying since you need to add every single different variation of the same word. But it's also kind of nice since you have to add those variations and force yourself to recognize the pattern. Czech changes words to the extreme. Adjectives can have over 100 different configurations in the grammatical structure of the language. In reality, it's a lot less because they reuse forms, but I already have 14 different entries for just the word good. And I'm not even close to having found all of them yet. And forcing myself to identify which words are actually the same word has been really helpful for me. I've done basically no grammar study in Czech, and yet I can already naturally tell which words are doing what and how they're related to other things because I've done so much of this process. When you come across a new word, click on it to open its information. Then you can use the definition to add your own definition in this box. You can do this however you'd like. If you want to store the definition in your target language, go for it. If you want to use a short explanation, be my guest. If you don't want to have a definition at all and just use images, you can also do that. Adding images is done with this little eye icon here. It'll search Google for images and display them. Click on the one that you like and it'll be attached to the word. This feature isn't perfect. Sometimes the word is like a famous person's name or is spelled exactly like another word in a more popular language. So you can get some kind of weird results. But I'm sure that this will get improved in the future. You can also add tags to words if that's your thing. I personally like to add a cognate tag to words that are almost identical to English. This doesn't actually help my learning, but I'm curious to know the number of cognates I find in my Czech learning. The final thing is the learning level, like I mentioned earlier. You can set it here by manually clicking on the number. And when you're done with a word, be sure to hit save. There currently is no autosave feature, so hit save. The learning level can be adjusted with the keyboard while you're reading as well. When you hover over a word, you can press the numbers 1 through 5 to set the word to that level. There's also the level W, which is for word known, or the I for ignored. Ignored words are things like proper nouns, words from other languages, or generally things that you don't want to show up in your official dictionary. I mark all character names as ignored, as well as terms that only appear in certain books, so words like Hufflepuff or Quidditch. If saving every single word sounds like too much of a drag, you don't actually have to. If you're already an advanced reader, you can only save the words that are new to you. And then when you finish a page, click this green check. This tells the program, I finished reading this page. Everything I didn't mark, I already know. Next page, please. And it saves the rest of the words on that page as something you know. Sure, it's not going to add definitions and populate them, but you already know them, so that's not really needed. The last thing I'll mention is the different styling options. If you click this little hamburger menu while reading, you can change the text size, line spacing, and a few more things. You'll also see that pressing M on your keyboard will cycle through the various themes Lute has. If you're really picky about colors, you can actually change anything you want. That's done in the settings, and I'll leave a link to the Lute manual down in the description to help you with that. But that's it. That's how to use Lute. The program is in constant development, and there's an update every week or two. You can check for an update by putting in pip or pip3 install -- upgrade lute 3. And then the next time you launch the program, it'll be updated. And if you come across any bugs or other issues, be sure to report them. The developer is actively working on this project and keeps track of things in Discord or on GitHub. You have the opportunity to make this tool better for you and the rest of the community, so please share your thoughts and opinions. I hope that you enjoy using this tool as much as I have. But that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy immersing.
I'm here to drop some knowledge, listen up with your ears. I got a language learning method, gonna make it crystal clear. It's called Refold, the game changer, gonna blow your mind. Immerse yourself in media, fluency you will find. Refold.